Recording is on.
Welcome to the DXDAO DXbiz call for April 12th, 2021 on Monday at 1500 UTC time. This is a Nylon is on a little holiday right now, and so I'm going to lead this call today. And so I posted a short agenda, which we can expand if there's other topics. But first, we'll have new member introductions. We have a little bit of an update, ongoing discussion around potential investment with Oculus with DX Ventures. And then we'll go a little bit into treasury diversification post for V2, which is the next version of continued treasury diversification. And then we can talk about whatever else people want to talk about as well. And so I think today, Melanie informed me that we have a number of new attendees for the first time. The DXbiz call on Mondays is a great place for new members, in addition to the Thursday recap call, but it's a great place for new members and new interested participants to come introduce themselves, get a really good feel for different lots of various topics that DXDAO is working on. And so I think we have a few here today. Blackscale on Spitfire, a fellow Jitzer, and Reichsfire. Yep. So if you guys could just give like a brief introduction, who you are and what you're interested in, and maybe how you found out about DXDAO, that'd be super cool.
Yeah, cool. I can begin if you want.
Yeah,
my name is Dominic, Reichsfire, whatever. It's a part of my name. And I found out about your project a few months ago. It was you had a partner somewhere on a page. It was like you were linked as a partner there, and then I found the project, and now I saw how many stuff you have, with Swapper, with Mesa, and everything. I'm like confused, not as like overwhelmed, but more like overwhelmed. Like I need to find out what's cool, what's interesting, what I can use myself, because obviously I'm like interested in using stuff myself first to see if that works. So yeah, my past role was in sales. So I'm like five years plus sales and business development, and yeah, that's why I'm here. Like want to see if it's something cool. And you are obviously a lot of people, and yeah, let's go and see what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. Blackscale.
Hey, so my name is Laurent, or I also go by the name Blackscale. On Spitfire is just the name of the device I'm on. I started my career 20 years ago in cybersecurity and penetration testing, and then I went through a lot of different things in the IT field, all the way to also management consulting. And a bit of fintech, and 3 years ago I went full on crypto and decided to become a Solidity developer, and then quickly became actually an auditor of smart contracts. I learned about DXDAO via Nathan, who contacted me a few weeks back to tell me about the great job you're doing, and immediately it clicked, and we actually got in touch only last week. And when he told me all the stuff that you're doing and how you're organized, I was instantly seduced. Also, it was pure serendipity, because I'm just in a phase in my life where I wanted to like reorganize the way I work. I was considering various job proposals. So it came exactly at the right time. And all the other proposals I was discussing had more or less heavy drawbacks. And the DAO offered the ideal working conditions to like just concentrate on solidity and security, which is what I would like to devote most of my time to. So it's perfect. And until now, I've had a blast getting to know all of you and the various products I can help with. So I'll start by helping with security, and as soon as that part is done on each project, then I'm available to help with actual coding.
That's awesome. Thanks for joining.
My pleasure.
And then there's one fellow Jitser. I'm not sure if you would like to give an introduction. Maybe that's someone we already know. Maybe they're just listening.
Or maybe they don't know that their name is fellow Jitser because it's first time using Jitsi or something. Yeah.
Bottom left guy. Anyway, okay. Let's continue then. So we have an interesting update with DX Ventures, Opolis, which is a well, there's some posts about Opolis, but it's a worker management ecosystem tool that allows like DAO workers or contract workers, the new kind of worker in our new version of an economy, to access like the benefits that if you worked for a Fortune 100 company. And so it's mainly being used and growing in the US with plans to eventually be international, but it's a ecosystem and a platform that's pretty relevant to DAOs in general. So DXDAO, we've had a number of discussions and we've done a lot of analysis on, they're doing a raise currently, and we did a lot of analysis and had a bunch of questions. There's been a bunch of changes with their token economics and how they're like more information about who the types of entities, which are a lot of DAOs and different communities within the Ethereum ecosystem are participating in this round. It's very like community driven. It's not really VC investing driven, which is pretty cool. And so we got some updates. We're with Tammy's help and some other people's help. We're compiling like a kind of a good summary deal memo type recap, which will be shared with like the wider full-time or DXDAO contributor base. Then the next step would be to get feedback on that proposal, do what would be effectively like a hard signal proposal, probably on DXDAO, to decide if members would like to move ahead with this investment for DX Ventures. And then I think there would probably be an opportunity for DXDAO contributors to potentially put in capital to go alongside the DX Ventures capital. There's a multiplier effect. So like if like, for example, investing $100,000 or $150,000 total, you get a much higher higher multiple on the investment that you get than if you just do like a $50,000 check. So I think like the optimal is a $250,000 investment to get the 5x multiplier. But even if we got something in between those two, I think there's a benefit to that. And so there's mechanics, and we've never done a DX Ventures investment, and there's mechanics that we're trying to figure out how to make this contract, how to get this like a contract or an agreement done on chain. And so I think it would be that the Opolis team does a formal proposal with referencing the actual terms of the deal, which can really be, there's a number of ways to do it, maybe through a grant mechanism that turns into an investment mechanism. But that would be like a formal proposal that's proposed to DXDAO, and then DXDAO rep holders would vote to approve that proposal. And that proposal would actually become the best thing that DXDAO has for an official contract. So we're working through those steps. Yeah. There's a point about focus and concentration on DX Ventures, and we have a sub team currently that is like looking at DX Ventures part time, but that is a concern that like DXDAO in general is not a investing firm. It's more of a, we're building products in the DeFi space that we want to lead to revenue, and these are tools and investments that DXDAO needs in addition to what it's currently working on. But that's a concern. If anyone has any other comments about DX Ventures or Opolis, you can raise that now.
Do you have any any specific team members for this DX Ventures now, or how is it going? So Christopher said like not really a lot of people are doing this. So what is the structure right now about it?
Yeah. So right now it's DX Ventures via a signal proposal is like the formal earmarking of funds that are going to be used for DX Ventures. Anyone who is interested from here can join the DX Ventures Keybase group, and that is a group that is looking into different ideas that come across the desk for potential investments. We've talked to other outside third-party groups that like actually are bringing deal flow and doing due diligence on deals as well, which DXDAO could leverage that type of entity instead of having to do the due diligence itself. But at the end of the day, it's rep holders who have to decide on if these investments move forward or not. And so there's no formal person or leader of DX Ventures. It's just a subgroup of contributors currently. But if there was someone that wanted to like become the main leader or point of contact for DX Ventures, that's a potential opportunity.
Understand, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm just like a bit concerned, right? I mean, all of you guys that are kind of like in the DX Ventures group, Chris, John, you, Geronimo, etc., Martin, you all have like, you're already like super busy, right, on what you do, like on your other tasks within DXDAO, and it just feels like it's like only the Opolis deal, right, which is already taking up this much time. And I mean, I'm not sure like how much time it is taking you guys, just on a day-by-day basis, but just me kind of like monitoring that over the last couple of weeks, it feels like it has been too much.
For the record, I haven't spent any time on I haven't even looked at Opolis yet because, like you said, there's plenty of other priorities that I'm focused on.
Yeah, Christopher, exactly. I'm taking over some of the just like, I think that what's taken some time the past month or so is just figuring out a clear process to actually make this go faster when something does come across. One of those things being, just quickly having an up or down, like gut instinct, yes, yay or nay, after a presentation is done. We kind of didn't have clarity about how we all felt about some of the deals that were being presented to us, which I think took a while just for all of us to get on the same page, which is never the best. But I think we have a bit better of a structure now. But if there is somebody who wants to really help with deal flow, I know we spoke with some people at Metacartel that could maybe help us with that and doing deal memos and things like that, which could maybe be useful. But I really do agree that it shouldn't be taking up even, a third of any of our time at this point, because we have other stuff to consider, like our products, obviously.
Yeah, I think like Metacartel could be nice, a partnership there, or having like someone separately just dedicated to work on this, right? To present like deal memos and then have like the remaining members vote on the outcome.
Yeah, I think that's fair feedback, and we should be focused on kind of driving to the products. And I think specifically thinking about like kind of some of the things we're doing with biz dev and thinking about how that's more product focused, especially now with like XDAI and Arbitrum coming up for Swapper and Omen. Just how do we talk and focus the conversation on like driving value to those products? I think opportunities will come that will fit very nicely for DXDAO to invest, but it's does take time, and we should be focused on the products.
Back to Opolis, I think like the question was right whether we should increase a potential investment to 100,000 versus 50,000, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like here, right? I think it's important, you know, to show discipline, because this kind of like you will see more and more of these, you know, FOMO structures, you know, like as the bull market progresses. And I think it's important to show discipline here and, you know, to not overstretch ourselves. That would be my opinion.
Yeah, Chris, sorry, just to clarify. So there was also talk of individual DXDAO contributors who are interested in the deal as well to put in personal capital, you know, maybe into a multi-sig that becomes part of the investment in order to increase from 50 to 100. So it's basically a way to, you know, allow individual contributors to DXDAO to invest alongside DX Ventures, which, you know, aligns interests and also increases the multiple. And if there's an easy way to do that, or if it makes things too complicated, but if Opolis could take the total of 50 plus 50 for 100,000 to increase the multiple, that could be a win-win for all parties.
Yeah, I mean, these kind of like SPVs, they are usually great if you want to participate in something like that and get like the maximum discount. I don't see why not.
Just to let you know, there might be a fire in my building, so
you better go outside. Okay, that's funny. Just for the listeners, that was Chris has a fire alarm in his building, and people in Europe are confused by that. Cool. So the next topic, which is, you know, related to a few different parts of DXDAO, and we're touching base on it on the DXbiz call, is the treasury diversification, which treasury diversification, you know, could be part of governance as well, but it's an important and growing focus for DXDAO in general. You know, one important thing to members and DXD holders is making sure that you know, DXDAO treasury is being put to work in a smart way, is being managed in a smart way. There's a current, the first treasury diversification proposal was to put about $3 million into dollar stable coins in order to secure runway, increase, you know, length of operations for DXDAO. Now there's an additional forum post about a second version of a diversification proposal for another $5 million in stable coins, with additional plans to put, you know, if DXDAO is going to hold stable coins, we want to also put those stable coins to work, and that's in our products such as Swapper and Omen, and then also in the additional stable coins could be put into, say, DeFi and seek yield earning assets. And so, you know, as we talked about with like risk ladder in general, compound is probably the first type of yield earning asset that DXDAO would enter. Possibly Y earn a little riskier, both being able to hold those long term, and then there's additional options as well. And so there's a forum post. There's been, I think, a few comments on it, but if hopefully this week that will go to proposal, and then there's still last bits of the first treasury diversification that are being settled. We've had some problems with Gnosis Safe and interacting with 1inch, but we're trying to get that sorted, and we'll be talking with Gnosis and to try to get that sorted. But if there's that, this next version will probably be proposed this week, and then we'd continue diversification into dollar stables going forward. And it's been a good, it's been a slow layering in process over the last like 2 or 3 months. And so that probably that like layering in, averaging in process will continue. And the idea is to make it so that DXDAO can continue to operate for a number of years, and even if we go into a bear market, basically. Anyone have any additional comments on that?
Can we wait till ETH is at 10,000?
Well, so the good thing about these proposals in general is that that even with like 5 and then 10% of the treasury put into stablecoins, which gives a pretty solid number of years of runway, the DXDAO still holds 80 to 85% of its value in risky assets such as DXD and ETH, right? So even though this is I think layering in is a smart approach. Like obviously there's opportunity cost if you turn it into the performance of DXDAO's treasury in general has done really well by holding ETH the last 9 months, and will continue. And I think DXDAO is heavily ETH based. There's talk of, could we put ETH at work? Like, is it worth putting ETH into some DeFi protocols to earn some return on the ETH as well? And also we're looking at ETH2 staking for a yield on ETH as well. So there's a number of opportunities there. Actually, a new protocol that Christopher, you are probably familiar with, Liquidity, which is a weird name. It's a way to actually put ETH to work, borrow against your ETH, so have dollar stable coins for use of DXDAO, and then actually earn a decent return on ETH currently through their farming. So that could be a potentially interesting way for DXDAO to borrow against its ETH in a pretty attractive manner.
Or putting the stable coin for that protocol, the LUSD, like putting it into the stability pool. It's sort of like you're earning yield, but also saying that you're willing to buy ETH if it goes down, which sort of makes sense potentially with the ETH heavy DXDAO treasury.
There's also a curve pool. Okay.
Yeah, so the curve pool is currently being voted on, but it looks like it should pass without any problems. And then there will be like an LUSD free pool, curve pool with enough liquidity. So we could actually pay workers in LUSD and they would have an easy way to convert it into DAI or USDC, USDT, etc.
Yeah, and I'm just think with when we're doing things with the treasury, we've got a lot of things that balancing, but I think it is also important get the market timing right, not necessarily on the price, but in here, I think liquidity is a project that's just looking to gear up here. And so it might be something that we could also like use LUSD on Swapper or figure out some other ways of using it. And like if we were like a large liquidity provider to that, yeah. I guess that's not really in this post as much, Sky, because I think maybe that's like the next thing we're kind of thinking after that is like taking out loans or not just trying to diversify and earn a yield.
Yeah, I mean, taking out loans. So DXDAO doesn't need to take out loans, right? If we take out loans, it's more of a way to leverage up. So that's not borrowing against our ETH collateral is not something we really put on the risk ladder. That summary, I don't think, but it's something that DXDAO has the ability to do. A lot of projects in the space do it. A lot of projects in the space did that and got screwed too. So
I think the next step would be lending, not borrowing, but lending through Compound and getting, what's currently, I mean, I think we're in a high yield environment today, but like, so it's like currently like 10% on USDC on Compound. And I think that's sort of like the logical next step for the treasury after getting some stable coins to start getting like, a relatively safe yield on some of those stable coins. So that could maybe be returned to TXT holders. Yeah. And with liquidity, there's two options. I'm not saying this is the next step, but just while we're talking about it, like it's basically like Maker. You can take out loans against your ETH, but you can also like provide to the stability pool, which is sort of like acting as a keeper, kind of like in the Maker system. And that's actually like, there's a farming reward for that right now. So, I mean, that's a little different. It would not be like leveraging up, but it would be like when you put the stablecoin into the stability pool, you're basically saying if ETH goes down in other liquidity, like they're calling them troves instead of vaults, if they're getting liquidated, then the stability pool is buying up that ETH, right? So basically, you're not guaranteed to like keep your stable coins. You might end up with more ETH as part of that. But like I said, since DXDAO is so heavy on ETH anyways, that could be an interesting like addition to the strategy. Yeah.
Cool. I think next topic, which didn't have on the agenda, but in general, and this is I think someone mentioned earlier, these opportunities to work with projects to leverage Swapper. Soon we'll have, hopefully farming as well. But now that Swapper is getting to a point that it's a real product, there's a decent amount of capital from DXDAO that is now at work in Swapper. There's a few really solid pools. We're now a bigger with XDAI pool than HoneySwap, for example. As more and more capital moves into Swapper, it becomes a tool that DXDAO has to start to use and interact with partners and other projects that that we could make use of having the pools, right? So one example is Nathan was in touch with a stable coin project, which is a euro-based stable coin project. And, DXDAO has mainly talked about dollar stable coins, but euro stable coins could be interesting as well. And that's a project that, it's still young and is growing, has maybe a Uniswap pool, but there could be an interest from both sides to, have a euro stable coin and create a decent sized pool on Swapper, using DXDAO capital, using potentially the project's capital, and then putting some incentives in place to incentivize that pool. And a project like that may be interested in joining together for something like that. And so we are in the process, and this includes like the XDAI team, projects like the Euro stablecoin project, This can be, this is now where DXDAO has a product that has relevance, in this DEX world, especially on XDAI, where we're, one of the few main exchanges on XDAI, and we have the ability to, reach out to and take incoming interest from projects and leverage the fact that we have this tool now. And so that's, as now that it's a serious live project, that like things are like, we're actively seeking out those opportunities. And hopefully over the next few weeks, we will, mention and report on more of the things happening in that space on the kind of like the partnership business development side related to DXDAO's products. And then related to Omen, we'd like to get, we've been discussing like conditional farming and the idea of like where Omen can be used. Caden's done a really good post about like how to provide liquidity to Omen that we're going to publish soon. And so we're trying to think of like more use cases for what Omen can be used for today. And I think personally, one of the really big use cases is for projects to be able to leverage something like conditional farming, and which is kind of related to like the KPI tokens that UMA had been doing. But Omen is flexible, that any project could create incentive-based tokens to drive behavior from its community. And we could do this on XDAI, and we could do this on mainnet as well. And so I think there's like almost like a B2B angle for usage of Omen when a project has a goal they want to seek out, and they have money and capital to use to seek out that goal. And so conditional farming and using conditional tokens and wrapping those conditional tokens and giving those out, I think is going to be a really interesting use case and business case for Omen in general. And it's a little different than like the regular consumer use case, but yeah. So if anyone here has like comes across projects that they think DXDAO could have a potential partnership with and interested alignment with, please bring that to the DXbiz Keybase channel and or a forum post, and let's discuss it. Cool. I feel like this call is mainly me talking, but any other topics that people have on top of mind?
Well, I think just talking a little about like Swapper, I mean, kind of like the big two things in the products now, I think, are like Omen and Omen token rolling on that. There's a lot of work being done on that, kind of in process, from governance to like liquidity mining. And then I guess like Swapper, I feel like we're in a pretty good state that maybe we could think about brainstorm on like how to build interest over the coming like month or two here. Because like, so right now we have about $1.7 million worth of liquidity on Swapper XDAI, and we have about $1 million on mainnet. And then the kind of two big upcoming things we potentially have are, one, launching farming. This is coming with like the beta launch. And so that would be like a great opportunity for other projects to launch farming campaigns on Swapper to engage with other communities, especially because we already have like existing base liquidity from DXDAO that's on there they can fool around. And also any user that's coming to Swapper is going to have a good experience because they have the eco routing, which would be able to route them to any like token they want. So it'd be really interesting to figure out how we could drive interest to the farming platforms. And then second, the big development is Arbitrum. And so we've been talking with them for a couple months now, and they seem to be gearing for some like mainnet-esque release in the next 4 to 5 weeks. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly when. But then that'll be a huge opportunity since we've already deployed the test net. We've already been working on that. How can we like use that launch as a way to drive interest in that? So really, it's like farming on Swapper, XDAI, could also be on mainnet coming up, and then like the big Arbitrum launch and how we can kind of like build hype and buzz and engage projects around them. Obviously, maybe eventually kind of dangling the possible Swapper token in front of everyone. But I think we could really think about how we can like drive interest over this as we kind of move towards growing and expanding Swapper here.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, I think looking for projects that want to launch farming campaigns is like a great kind of thing to keep an eye open for from a business development perspective. And of course also Mesa, right? Like Mesa is getting close to their MVP launch, and that's, you know, kind of a similar, those kind of go hand in hand, launching tokens, finding ways to incentivize liquidity. Like pretty soon the DXDAO product suite will kind of have a good offering across those needs.
Definitely. And it's like catching projects when they're still in their like planning and execution phase, right? Like I know Mackina has talked to some people that were like about to launch a liquidity mining campaign on Uniswap and like couldn't figure out how to do it. And maybe that was the opportunity there. And I guess the other thing so just figuring out how we can kind of get in and talk to projects when they're at that like go-to-market planning stage, and see maybe how Swapper Swapper Mesa can fit into that.
I think it's also important to focus on the areas where we are actually competitive. So when we decide on doing the liquidity mining on different layers, I would, choose our main layer that we think we want to be strong at. Like right now, it would be XDAI, I think, and then once Arbitrum is ready, then Arbitrum will be that layer, and we shouldn't be stretched too thinly across different layers.
Definitely. I actually think like eco routing is a really nice way of avoiding this, because we basically like, as long as there are other Uniswap forks on the chain that would have some liquidity, we don't actually need to compete in all of the pairs to have a good user experience.
Yeah, and I would agree that XDAI is like the main focus right now, right? Yeah.
And there just isn't there was like I guess that was like what, like 700,000 of dollars worth of liquidity that was added last night across the 4 pairs. So that's kind of an ongoing thing on XDAI. So I think that's the second time we've added liquidity from XDX DAO through that process, which is actually really cool. And like, if you want to talk about anyone like doing like DAO stuff in the space, like ask them how they execute a trade through like a vote or something like that. And like, it's really cool here because it's like, it does involve like a couple different checks. We're using like a separate smart contract relayer that has to call like an oracle. But it is like the way that we can trustlessly add liquidity and interact with products as a DAO. And so it's really cool to have that infrastructure built.
So another thing we could talk about is like with the launch of farming, does it make sense to do like a DXD incentive for the DXD ETH or other DXD pools? Yeah, personally, I think to go along with farming, that could be a nice thing to do. I think like the liquidity is kind of weak right now for DXD, and that like doesn't look great for the project, I think. And so, yeah, I think there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, and like all these things we just talked about, since DXDAO has the opportunity to leverage our own products for our own use cases and setting like examples and case studies. And so we don't need some first project to like take a leap of faith and like come to do farming. Like DXDAO can do farming with its own capital for its own pools that it wants. And so obviously we've always talked about dominating a DXD pool, becoming the most important DXD pool on mainnet and on XDAI, and using incentives in farming to do that leads to a lot of positive things. It also could play really well into the DXD buyback, obviously. And so if we make that pool the biggest pool, that could become the pool that DXDAO actually does DXD buyback on as well. And so there's, as all these products come into play, I think we're going to be able to leverage them all against each other for our own use cases. And then once people see the success of the use cases, then it becomes easier for other people to come and use the products as well. It's just, we need to lead with like our own capital, which we're able to do, and then we can, have good case studies that come out of that, and then that will lead to other people wanting to mirror what we've done.
And the other thing we could talk about, we tend to talk about this on Friday, but like which pools are the most important pools to like go after, like especially on XDAI. Like right now it's the WBTC WETH XDAI, and then DPI WETH, and what was the fourth one? And then the USDC XDAI. And yeah, curious if people think we're missing.
Because of course, anything that we do provide liquidity on, we also do, like that's like the DAO taking, is owning those assets. There is like kind of some risk into that, but we're also would be earning the trading fees from that. So yeah, and actually in the most recent proposal, I actually included possibility for stake because that's the native token for XDAI, maybe doing a pool on that. So yeah, I mean, I guess we could concentrate on those pools themselves and make sure that those are liquid, and then like try to encourage other people to add liquidity to other pools, or like DXDAO itself could kind of like expand into other pools there. But I think it's an advantage to be able to provide liquidity. And to me, it's most important to provide it in like the base pairs so that those are like deep and liquid markets and people will come there for those. And then hopefully that'll trickle into other things.
Totally. Anything else that people have on their minds? Otherwise, we can end this one a little early. Airplanes.
Started with a bus, ended with an airplane.
Yeah, Chris.
And there was a fire alarm in between.
Chris just has an extremely sensitive microphone. You can like hear someone.
No, it's just a loud place. It's not the microphone. It's just a loud place with lots of noises. An urban jungle.
Cool. Well, then I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for coming, everyone, and thanks for listening.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.